Well, we've had a statement from Commission President Ursula von der Leyen saying she's spoken with the Danish Prime Minister, who has said this was a deliberate act of sabotage and said that any such act would meet with a strong response. We know that from scientists, they've said that these explosions, which affect the two Nord Stream pipelines, so the one that's been in use for a long time but Russia shut off recently, and then the one that was constructed but Germany canceled its inauguration, those explosions happened in three spots. The Danish waters are waters that Denmark controls economically. There is still some gas in those pipelines, even though they're not currently delivering gas to the EU for technical reasons. So, of course, the big question is, if this was man-made sabotage, who did it? Obviously, the first instinct here is to think that it was Russia. There are various explanations for why Russia would have done this, but really in the long term, it doesn't seem to make very much sense. This is, after all, effectively Russia's pipeline, and it is the main vehicle with which Russia delivers gas to the European Union. They cannot send that gas anywhere else. The pipelines only go to Europe. Russia doesn't have the capacity to liquefy the gas and send it somewhere else. If the gas doesn't go through this pipeline, they have to burn it and lose billions of dollars a day. So this is a big mystery at this point. The explosions happen so deep underwater, I've heard from people, we may never even know who did this. But there are some alternative explanations being floated in Brussels quietly at this point. There are concerns that this could have been one of the Western allies. It could have been an EU member state. We know that Poland and the Baltic countries have been dead set against these pipelines since their construction. That is probably an explanation that Russia's going to try to float. We know that Russia has already said they had nothing to do with this. This could get very, very complicated, but certainly for Western allies, the prospect that this could have been an EU member state that did this is almost more scary than if Russia did it. But there are explanations for why Russia might have done it. We know that this could have been a move by Putin to show that he's not bluffing in terms of his threat to use nuclear weapons, that he's willing to have an explosion that hurts Russia in the long term for short-term benefit. What might that short-term benefit be? Well, gas prices have been going down in Europe over the past month. Russia has had less of an ability to affect those gas markets and cause havoc in the market. We've already seen today the gas price shoot up. So this has once again given Russia, if Russia were to be behind this, it would give them again the ability to control, to affect price volatility in the EU gas markets, which gives them more leverage power. But again, we have absolutely no evidence at this point of any country being behind this.
Right. It truly is, again, a mystery, Dave. But in any event, what happened doesn't bode well for European security. How might this change the EU's energy response now?
Yeah, coincidentally, we have this emergency meeting of energy ministers happening here in Brussels on Friday. We already expected them to approve the measures put forward by the Commission 2 weeks ago. That is a windfall tax on energy companies, and those profits going to vulnerable energy consumers to help them with their energy bills. That is a mandatory 5% reduction of electricity use for all Europeans during peak hours. But it looks like, in addition, at any moment now, we may have the Commission announce that they've adopted a proposal to cap the price of gas. This has been a very controversial idea. It definitely, at the start of this week, did not look like energy ministers would have that on the table for Friday's meeting. But it looks like this recent incident, that the explosions in the Baltic Sea, have motivated the Commission to actually propose that gas price cap, and the energy ministers will discuss it on Friday. We don't know yet. We'll see if that comes out this afternoon. But certainly this has upped the ante, both for the EU taking protective measures in terms of energy, making sure that they're more resilient, or as resilient as they can be during this upcoming winter, but also security preparations, protecting EU energy infrastructure from possible attack, particularly floating LNG, liquefied natural gas terminals, which are really going to be the lifeline for the EU to be able to get non-Russian gas this winter. There's particularly concern about some of those floating terminals that are in the water and could also be vulnerable to underwater attack.
Dave, thank you for that. France 24's Dave Keating. Well, the European Union has also